Yeah, good. I was very nervous all day. I thought I had to say something. I'm good as all, you know. Finally, I don't have to talk.
Did you say much?
No, you know, the mere introduction to me about center, what happened, what is even here, introduction there was a tragedy. He just gave me the tragedy. There are many different, I think, metaphors, not many different countries, people, many, you know, Asians, Europeans, you know, all the mixing, you know. Anyway, maybe all the international celebration. He gave very nice talk, speech. Now, Ed was that he left.
I actually left after he stopped talking.
Oh, okay.
I thought the most useful thing I could do, because that time it was like after 7, to come back here and let people know that eventually you were going to be here.
Oh, okay,
So
yeah.
that people
I saw him.
You know, I left to let people know you'd be on your way.
Yeah, a lot of worry. When first we, it is possible to start 5:30. It's delayed, maybe we start 6 o'clock.
It's always like that.
Then after, oh. My body's dead, my mind's going, you know. Anyway, it's good to be there on time. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, 시천이가 좀, 나, 다 시바도 변본이 나라. 다 마치 내게 그랬어. 시천이 시바도 변본이 나라. 시바도 변본이 나라 마치 내게 그랬어.
So most of the the impermanent things of what we call functioning things are included within matter and consciousness.
근데 다 변복을 해서 다 마치 다 테리피를 다 제도라고 이제 토요일 미가 다 토요일에서.
So most of the matters can be assessed or measured by the scientists.
근데 다 시바 나도 남의 주나 이제 잡아 나지 다 달라 돼 토요일 다 잡아 돼서 고그래서.
But the way the mind or consciousness is explained in Buddhism is still not been able to explain by the scientists or others, so that might take a bit of time.
아니 시단가 변보도 시반이가 나는 지나 다 시바데 돼서 개치어도 그래서.
So when we compare these two, consciousness is more important than the matter.
아니 간주 시베가 변보라 뭐지 그러면서 변보 시바라. 대자로 지나다 와로 시바치.
And so if you also compare which of these two controls the other one more, then it's the mind or the consciousness that controls the matter more than the matter or the things, material things controlling the mind.
소유 셈라야 당가들 깔아가고도 녀고도 삼나 아니 다 녀자래서.
So in your mind, if you think I'm tired today and I want to sleep, then you just fall asleep, right? You go to sleep.
셈라 zuboga 깔아가고 셈라 셈랑에 zu보가 가도 셈만 얘기 왔어.
And so usually, it's the mind that thinks, right? Thinks, oh, my body is tired, and I have to take a nap, or I have to go to sleep, and so forth. So the mind tells the body to do what to do, right?
그래다 시바서야 돼. 먼저 완전 와보나 오시. 다지. 내가 tennis 그래도 왔어.
So it's the mind is like the one that it controls. So that's the one that makes the body or other things to do their jobs.
어때서 다 남의 쇼는 다 시베기 지금 딱 내다 시바라 민라면라 시바 수수도 실내가리요 와 시바라 대다 미카를 갔다 왔다 세식서가 다 손들에서 와.
So in Buddhism, many of the Buddhist texts they explain about the consciousness, about mind, in a very precise way. Different kind of minds, the definitions of each of these kind of minds, and so forth.
And then I'm can't there, there was a common there, Dumara young, and the Liji there was a Senji there was Liji
and so also the suffering that we don't want and the happiness that we want, there are two kinds, right? There are the physical sufferings that we don't want, and the mental suffering that we don't want, and also the physical happiness and the mental happiness that we want.
And 다 뱀보스마 다 리보가 시 뱀보기 동아대 다 실로그 진텐지도 조야 다 세도문어서 도르겠을 거야.
And so the physical comfort or the physical happiness or comfort can be fulfilled by the external material things and outside material things.
다 샘지 동아서에 샘 코랑 싸노 따는 주주 땅 와서 다 실로는 가서 가는 거 가지는 용마래서.
And then also the physical discomfort or the suffering and unhappiness, disease and so forth can be cured by the physical and external things. But in order to cure the mental suffering, no matter what you apply from outside, it won't work. It has to be worked from inside.
내가 실로 시 되죠. 시가 다 깼는데 아니 다 로바체네 아니 나기 다 생기 대두 세야되는 열 마셔. 시당기 조 생코랑 그래서
Yeah, it can help. External things might be able to help in some ways, but mainly it is mind itself that has to work to eliminate the sufferings of mind. And so therefore it is very important to know, understand about the mind.
아니 배차지는 당도 단다로 잡아서 단단 만족을 리데 밤에 시크로를 터지고 리데 나도 쉬를 참아는 거 샤샤를 했어.
So this body, that came from our parents, that was produced by our parents, the egg and sperm, that will be left behind when we die.
아니 대만도 쉬다 가지고 사고를 때 가지고 갖다 놔서도
So some people will bury it underground, or some people will cremate it, right?
근데 나도 보다 좀 동동하고 그러면 다 나는 시바 대 내내 semjente 우체바당 아니 제어시만 로고 그래서
So then the mind, so the body, as we can see, the body being, cremated or buried or so, somehow, it's left behind. But mind continues from this life to the next life.
아니 나도 쏙세나 희생나 쏙 채는 쏙 가르치는 희생이라고 그러고.
And so whenever the life force ends, and then that's what we call is death, right?
쏙 채서는 갈라는 아니 남식의 땡싱의 루지 남식이야 섬을 또 루지를 루. 근데 루디 네바 가지 좋아하나? 아니 다음에 쏙 채서.
And so when the soul or when that the life force comes to end is when the power of that wind which holds the mind in the body dies, and then there's nothing to hold the mind there, and so then when the mind leaves the body, then this is called death.
근데 롱되게 네바 냠도 somala 다 롱되게 아니 남식대 다 섬도가 말 섬마다 고시 있어.
And so that kind of wind, which holds the mind in the body, kind of the mind is mounting on that wind, and then when that wind kind of dies or exhausts its power, then it's no longer able to hold the mind, and then the mind leaves the body, and that's what we call death.
근데 그 제바당 아니 그때 시세 시바당 봐도 좋다. 봐도 어때? 일단 봐도 왔습니다. 봐도 그랬어.
And so so then that's when we stop breathing, and then after that the mind leaves. We will stop breathing, and that's what we usually call death. But then until the mind has not left, we're not really dead. So when the mind leaves the body, then we're dead, really actually dead. And after that, then the mind enters into the intermediate state.
되네 다 삼체 신마식 다 들어이 받아 가는 직접 말하는 거 받아나 다 봐도 와서
And so that's the intermediate state. And so after the death and before the birth, in the next life, and between that, it's called the intermediate state.
아니 봐도 와서 세대 가서 통고에 민 통하다 즉 코로나 토리고 말했대. 그만의 코로나 들려 같아 다 들이 말했어.
And so the intermediate being, doesn't have gross physical body like ours. They have the subtle body, and it's not obstructive. It's not. It cannot be obstructed, so it can go through anything. So nothing can block it. Like can go through the walls and so forth. So it's not. It's not a physical body like ours. And so in Buddhism it is explained that when a person dies, the person goes into the intermediate state, unless if it's extreme karma. Otherwise, they will go through the intermediate state, and in the intermediate state, the longest they stay there is 49 days. And so that's why usually in Tibet, in Tibetan culture, whether it's in Tibet or in India, Nepal, or wherever it is, in Tibetan culture, people believe that the person can stay in the intermediate state up to 49 days. So they will try to do as many prayers as possible for that person. That can also help the person to have a better rebirth in the next life. And so like I said earlier, depending on their level of karma, so some extreme karmas, like if the person has created very bad negative karma or very good positive karma, then they can go through the intermediate state very fast, like in a next moment, in a moment, they can pass through that and then go into the next life. But depending on that, and sometimes they will stay up to like 1 week, and then 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, 4 weeks, up to the seven weeks. So they won't get a visa to be there in the intermediate state longer than that. So can't be extended.
They can extend the visa. Today, that teaching that young Namshi young that 가서 기와시마티가 또 남시가 있는데 가지 그 기와시마이 된거 이래서 봐. 대다 시바디에 딱 전전이 로데요.
So and so anyway, so the mind continues that way, goes through the intermediate state and then goes into the next life. So that's how we say the mind never ends. It continues continues from life to life, into next life, like that.
근데 단단한도 개화를 봐야나 계획 봐서야 돼. 딱 남식들아 샤오를 봐서는 딱 맞아 쇼나 그때 대자로 되는 딱 봐서 샤오를 했어.
And so if we create a positive karma, then we leave the positive imprint in our mind, in our consciousness.
아니 매개와잖아. 매개와 봐서 돼서 선들의 샤오를 했어.
And same with the positive or negative karma. So either kind of karma that we create, the imprint of that karma will be left in our mind.
아니 또 단단한도 남의 냠에 챙기지 봐나. 아니 시간 나가지 계속 생기는 게 쉬워지나. 아니 뒤져시마다 다 대로 있게 해서 다 소고요 그래서.
So and then also it depends what kind of seed you sow at the end of your life, just before the time of death. So if you sow a positive seed at that time, then the result will be positive. If you sow the negative seed at that time, especially at that time, even though you have created so many different kind of karma throughout your life and left the imprint of all these karmas in your mind, but whatever karma that it creates at the time of death, that's the strongest imprint that's going to live in your mind, and that determines your rebirth in the next life. So if you have created very bad karma at that time, then immediately you're going to have a bad or lower realms rebirth.
근데 다 든딩하도 시간을 나다 멤버들 갑자기 야들 다 되게 제대로 말하는 상황을 왔어.
And so if we're going through a serious kind of disease, where we have to go through certain kind of procedures, medical procedures, like getting injections or the oxidants and so forth. And when our mind is disturbed with those pains in our body, then it's kind of really difficult to have a positive state of mind at that time, right? And so, but if we practice from now on, so that's, if you pain, it doesn't matter, it's okay. If you think like that, and if you start to practice from now on to have a positive state of mind all the time, then it is possible that you might be able to have a positive state of mind at the time of death. And so, like, right now you can think about the bodhicitta, right, the altruistic attitude, wishing to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. So that kind of mind is a positive state of mind, right? And if you right now, if you start to practice having that kind of mind as much as possible, then it is possible to have that kind of mind at the time of death also.
Can you learn meditation? Just try. Then you send the Dharma family, you
can practice right now to have that mind only, without having any other thought, just having that thought, wishing to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Meditation.
So that's what we say, when we say meditation.
Okay, start now. Just think about bodhicitta, how long you can stay. Oh, I have to go tomorrow walk. You think that? This kind of man coming? Oh, I have to go pick up my kids tomorrow. This month coming, right? It's immediately, Today's jungle, Gunda man Yagala. Touch the corridor, Sanic, Matamro, something Yashana, and it needs some Gosha.
So, like in the night, when you go to sleep, if you think about something bad happening during the daytime, and then you think about that, and then you develop anger, towards that thing, and then you go to sleep with that thought, then the whole night sleep, the whole night becomes negative.
That time, man, Yagalachi, Jambo, Semjedo, Nijero, some Tessangi Nishana, Nichasa gave a chance.
And instead of that, at the time, just before you go to sleep, if you think about refuge, bodhicitta, compassion, and things like that, if you sleep with that thought, then the whole night, the whole sleep becomes positive.
Yeah, the little came at that time, Rosie. So
if you don't have any positive or negative state of mind at the time, don't just think that I better go to sleep now because I have to wake up early in the morning to go to work. If you just go to sleep with that thought, then it's a neutral, right? It's not positive, not negative. So whole night, whole sleep becomes neutral. And it, so, and usually, it says, when it's advised, to sleep in the position of Buddha's sleeping, Buddha's lying down. And so when Buddha lies down, then he lies down on his right, his hands resting under his cheek, his right cheek. So, then you're thinking of Buddha at that time, right? So, oh, Buddha slept like this, so I should sleep like this. So then you're thinking about Buddha. So if you sleep with the thought of the Buddha, then that becomes positive also. And then other thing is also like you can think of sleeping, resting your head on your guru's lap. So since the guru is sitting right above your, right at the place where your pillow is, and you're placing your head on his lap. And so if you think of like that, again, that's thinking about Guru, and you sleep with that thought, then that becomes also positive.
So also you don't get bad dreams. Something very, very bad dreams, right? What I think, that's done, Chris. That Yamichi, that Gomjazama to the Gomjazamala, Shamadachi. Gavishini Gomada, Gavishini the Nava Taran Tani. It is 주보상을 다들 샤주선거는 샤주선 주보상을 샘 대주보처럼 심한 콜 맞춰가지 대샘이 제 맞춰가지 뭐 그래서
so when you're meditating, that's what you're supposed to do. Think about that particular thing that you're meditating on, and try not to be distracted by other things. So going to thinking about other things.
근데 다 두쟁어도 샘을 diwa다는 샘 시발은 다 레터를 그래서.
And so that's how we train our mind, to think in that way. So you're making the mind, to do its work.
나도 시발을 가르쳐 주는 것도 신기해요. 시발 가르쳐야 되는 거 빼고.
So mind can be trained in any way. So that's the good quality about mind. Is that you can be taught anything.
But my mind is very bad. Doesn't learn much English. Even I have very difficult to help. Correct? Pronunciation correct? Help. No? Yeah, help. It's correct? Help. Help. You guys understand?
Yes.
No, right? Help.
Help.
Yeah, help.
Help.
Did I say correct? Help.
Help.
Yeah, help. This is my tongue too difficult. Doesn't work. Anyway, what the name is that?
I feel the pain as well.
Okay, the name is that I'm not doing it. I'm not going to jump or ship. I'm not doing it.
And so you have to, train your mind from right now, in that way.
But the name is that because Dikpa Makio Chimbo starting in Machine, Shagala cook is everything at Chili Shitawayna, Yanjo, and the minute, and the Tenita Yan wrote in your restaurant.
And so even if even if one has created a lot of negative karmas throughout their life, but if one dies with a positive attitude at the time of death, then it's more likely for that person to have a good rebirth. Have another chance to have a good rebirth and practice Dharma again, and then purify negative karmas and have a better and better like that.
Okay, what we tell us to Shipala, that Shipata, Tangos meet on it, Tangos of
And so anyway, this is the mind in general, and then there are so many different kind of minds that we have, and which are all labeled as such and such, and so now we're studying about these different kind of minds.
What tell us same you need says you want that same said that you don't same that thing Chechu Kakash same use it what.
And so there's this mind and mental factor, right? So the mind is the one that holds or comprehends the entity of the object, and then the mental factor, is that one that holds or comprehends the features of that object.
And same said to my face on same you said it, that mom is on the
And so the mind is like the general, and the mental factor is like the armies.
Okay, that telling us to Joa, Tanumi, but Tanum.
So today we're going to start from the economy, right, the 10th one.
And then they get Tanum said it, and also that's Shinin to recover. And the Tanum said, but it was send the Goa.
And so this one, Tanum. This one is the economy. 시내가 없다는 거 봐요.
다샘 그래 신이 게 아니라 같이 다샘 차다 얘네 차다 강을 많이 다 빠는 데도 같이 이렇게 빠는 거
So anyway, so the equanimity, so the equal state of mind, right? And so not being so attached to somebody or not being so hostile to some others, and having a same level, feeling same towards everybody.
앞에 차셔와나. 오케이. 먼저 배 차셔와나. 다 예지가 샤네 빼라. 까이데 깝들아 샤네. 아니 다도 샤네. 급딜레. 안용 강시나 맞아봐. 다 연대라 샤네 빼다. 까이다 샤네. 깝라 맞아봐지. 깝들아 미리 샤당해 봐. 근데 깜들아 뜬금해 봐. 뜬금은 따야 쉬워해 봐. 뜬금해 봐. 둘이다 제발 내내 끝내 용 봐. 젠다 내발 못한 봐. 근데 샘나만 냐만이다. 샘나다. the Vanyata. Then you chapa, the Vanyate, can you no be government relations? The getting no down. That's always the sure.
And so, says regarding equanimity, the compendium of knowledge says, question, what is equanimity? The response is discordant with an afflictive state and evenness of mind, a dwelling in a natural state and a spontaneous abiding abiding in non-attachment, non-hatred, non-ignorance, as well as effort, and it has the function of not allowing an opportunity for afflictions. And so it has to be like within abiding in non-attachment, non-hatred, non-ignorance, and so forth, right? And so towards towards enemy, we don't have equanimity. Towards our friends or family, we don't have equanimity, right? And so because towards the families and our friends, we have attachment, and towards enemies, we have hatred.
And that the movie, but not the movie that Mishibara, Marim Mashibara, the movie that Shibero, that's the shit, she, Yate, totally 20 of them was 20
So it has to be also non-ignorance, right? Ignorance is not knowing, non-ignorance is knowing, right? And as well as the effort.
And the Kunun Yomi, Yoma Gent, never the mental, that Yomi is in my bath.
And so, within abiding in non-attachment, non-hatred, and so forth, right?
And then Sam Yabani, that's Sam. That the church, Chadaka Masama, that's Sam Pelero.
So it is the evenness of mind, which is not, either on attachment or on anger side.
That's Sam not to do bad, yet some vintage Japan, never yet. Can you move government be let you? That's Sam the country. They were dead English. And then told me, that's it. You're not Chada, yet I tell you, Panila never chasing on the special no, it was. And then they go this.
So dwelling in the natural state and spontaneous abiding, and it has the function of not allowing an opportunity for afflictions. Then so free from bias, like we recited in the text, right? Free from bias and attachment and hatred. The equanimity has to be that.
That's not the same. Not the same, but the job is top. Namla ten the same go, Renji in the same go to be say, should be Nimbo Tembi, so much Shamukova, simply to Bandaba, the level. And the same go.
And so it says that just as it has been said above, independent on the techniques for internally setting the mind single-pointedly on an object of observation, the nine mental abiding, and are gradually accomplished. When the ninth is achieved, one no longer needs to strive, no longer needs not strive, and to use the antidote to laxity and excitement, and one attains spontaneous abiding of mind. So last time we talked about the nine mental settings, right? A little bit.
What today, Genie Nimus Mabana, Sunday, Dumba, the Watamana, Ali, Shiva, the Geba, the Shuchimusha,
and so, you go through all these mental settings, starting with setting the mind, continuous setting, and so forth. And then when you are on the 6th or 7th, the distraction is not much there now.
And then send me the Tambo and Ibe Kalaya, she got trouble.
So during the first and second, there's still very strong, distractions, like mental wandering or mental excitement and mental thinkings. So this one here, it talks about achieving calm abiding, right? And so like the calm abiding, is the state of mind that is able to observe the object in whatever way one wants, as long as one wants, without any distraction. So in Buddhist practice of karma binding, we usually use the Buddha statue as an object to meditate on.
다음에는 저도 가려져 오시. 무슨 것도 시행이나 배나. 근데 산재 거래 오시고 그거나. 미팅 마셔 가지고 미팅 쇼다 담아제 봐서 담아제 봐서 아니 신경 미팅 쇼를 나 그래서 나는 좀 요래서.
So like whatever object you're using to focus on, like in this case, as a Buddhist, we usually advise to use Buddha statue. So you take the Buddha statue as your object, and then just set your mind on that statue, and so you should not let it go away from your focus. And if that happens, then that's what we call forgetting the advice, or forgetting the object in this case.
내가 아니 신의 도발을 받으시지 조지대 아니 레로 들어와서 다 레로에나 모두 고민이 좀 멀어서.
And so one of the biggest obstacles in achieving karma binding is laziness. So if we have laziness, then it will not allow us to meditate on karma binding, right?
아니 밑에 쇼 담아 제가 밑에 쇼 내가 당하던데 배는 밑에 어떤 집 산책가로 야마다치 33라고 상담되나 아주 샘 라로도 저도 지상로치 따다 아주 상로 땅에 써봐야냐 저도 밑에 라로 그래서
And also not forgetting the object, or not losing the object, right? So if you lose the object, then you don't have the object to focus on, right? So you need an object, where your mind focuses on, and so you should not lose the object all the time.
그래서 다나처럼 땅도 때문에 내 주보라 담보먹이 직다네 아니 가리도 직다 근데 대 주보 사는 거네 가세 대통도야 샘 찍기 샘대 라건 두분도 직다고 그랬더니 또 시시대로.
And for example, like you can look at the statue of the Buddha here, and, with your eyes open, look at it, and then after that you close your eye, and then picture that Buddha statue in your mind, and then focus on that as long as possible, and see if you lose the object or not, if you can keep on focusing on that object or not. And so there is a side, on the side there's a mind, and on the side which sees or which checks your mind, which checks the mind, small mind, checking the mind, the main mind, whether it's able to focus on that object or not. So that mind is called introspection.
Okay. 다 tendency 가래 당하도 됐다고 놀아야. 아니 상상 가래 그 이유도 대래 신화도 신화.
And so when you keep on looking at, keep on thinking about that object, then sometimes you feel tired, and then you go into falling asleep, or becomes very lazy and so forth. That's called mental sinking. Or laxity.
야들에 something 아니 가시다 산이 내가 되는 게 지체셔. 신발 내가 놓으셈. 저 내마도 신발 예 신발 손으로 받대라 아니 개파스.
And then, while you're thinking about that, your mind wanders around, and think about other things, and that's called mental excitement.
그런데서도 생의 거와 두비 제 생의 거와 두바이나 아니 시그지 이뭐 뜸비 좀 마셔볼까 다 소리셔고 다 시와도 개바 용도 못 주네 아니 시직이 막 빠고 말이 시와도 용 말에 생리지 쳐봐 내가 터봐 다들 되질 않으니까 다 방금 세트라고.
And so it says in the ninth, when the ninth is achieved, one no longer needs to strive to use the antidote to laxity and excitement, and one attains in a spontaneous abiding of the mind, and that's called equanimity here in this case.
Okay. Now can you guys anybody see the statue? Can you guys look maybe then try to think maybe 1 minute? 1 month have to think. Okay. Also check if you lose or not. Comparison.
Yeah. You understand, right?
No, they never did understand.
What was the I don't know the last sentence you said?
Oh yeah, you have to have the other mind, the introspection, to check the main mind, whether it's focusing on or not, whether it's losing its object or not.
This mind called the API. Do you know?
The police mind.
Oh, FBI.
Okay, I'm joking. This is usually I watch this we call show. Okay. They do investigation. Okay, not just check. First you can look the anyway, then you check the statue. Then you can just imagine. Just only thing called the Senate 2%.
Yeah, so only think about that. Don't think about anything else.
Then check other mind, okay? If you lose this object, or you think about some other object. Are you start now? Okay, now start. Do you guys hear the clock?
Yeah.
Yeah, you might not go there. Do you guys hear the thumb? She said, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you come.
I didn't hear that. I definitely didn't hear that too, right?
Do you guys also forgot that object, or if you focus there also that, but you heard some other things? What? Which one? Can't you know? She doesn't think that the one in a Shimba.
So while you are focusing on the Buddha statue, were you able to hear other things also?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you didn't forget.
No, you still focus.
Just focus there.
Yeah.
The telaya ane karo nature. Nature bachi ka nature me bachi la nature. Shushi boja. No chance la kaji. And ta temo isum to me avare tro.
And so, you know, that means, you know, your concentration is not strong enough, right? Because, you know, if you're really focused on that, then, you know, nothing will come in your mind. You only think about that.
Anyway, this is a meditation, okay? Usually there's a who meditation to the karma body. They have to place to very quiet place. If you are, you know, in here we don't have the, you know, in Tibet and India we've heard the water in the rivers always should not go.
So, you know, when you go to train or when you go to meditate on karma body, some people, they you know, go for a long time, you know, to meditate on karma body to achieve the realization, to have the realization of karma body. And in that case, you know, you have to find the right place, you know, to do that kind of, you know, practice. And the right place is a place, you know, where there will be no hearing of the sound, you know, of water, or the animals like the bird and so forth. You know. So yeah, that will be a more, what do you call that? A right place. What do you call that? Appropriate. Conducive. That's the word I was thinking. Conducive place, you know, to do the practice. Of course, and then, you know, if you hear all these cars and other sounds, then it's really not at all right. So you should find a place, you know, where you will not even hear the sound of water.
Can you guys find this place? Okay, this fun place is your, I don't know, you guys have that, what's a shani room or not, I don't know. You can do, you put the air block your ears, then no one bother you. Otherwise, we don't find where we go, you know. In Tibet, you know, there are big high mountains, we can go there, you know. No problem here. You go to mountains, you say that people look at you.
They call the police.
Yeah, they're good police, you know. Yesterday, the one boy, they lost the network. They found some mountain.
Yeah.
Maybe you go to, you know, to meditation, come buddy, maybe the police come to pick up you. Anyway, you know, don't think, you know, oh, I don't find this place, how can I find it? Just put the ear plug, you know, you have 10 maybe 5-10 minutes. You just put, close your door, then you can just focus there. But the most maybe obstacle maybe ear, right? If you close eye, you don't see anything. here we can see very far away. Therefore, just complete block, switch off. But don't switch off complete. No, too much energy. You have to use again. And then some a block. Try to do this. Okay, this is a meditation. Try. Just slowly. If without karma body, then very difficult. The pashi, nyamne karma so pashi yungo samara. This is tambo jo song was. Maso nambi chu shingi yores. Ta shini maso kuba mejiwa kajimsana. Ta shimen mejiwa song was.
And so without a karma body, it would be difficult to have other realizations, because you need to meditate on them, and if you don't meditate on them, you will not have. And to be able to meditate on them well, you have to have karma body. And so that's what His Holiness always says, that we know about all the teachings, we know about all the dharma, or everything, but we don't have the realization. That's because we don't have karma body.
Okay, if you're very serious meditation, they say you get 6 months you realization, karma body. 6 months. If longer 1 year, you get karma body. Dawatuk, you not dawatuk. Telana lochik na na tan muni. Karu. Saying that them go by that she never goes on this.
So if you apply all your time on that, right? Full time. If you're a full-time meditator, then you can get in like 6 months or longer in like 1 year.
But not that long, but just 2 work on 2 hours. Then you get 6 months again, then not talk about maybe 5 minutes, 6 months, not that. Maybe they say all day. Then night also you have to sleep just near the night. No, there's many techniques. But anyway, we can focus look at that, then we training our mind. Then we can meditation a little bit, maybe compassion, bodhicitta, loving kindness. Then more easy to keep this object. Otherwise, we say all of the go. Mind's here, or the body's here, the mind go to all of the world. Even my mind, I can go to bed very easy. Just go. I can imagine all of my place, how you go there in the mountains. Anyway, mind is good. Today is they love the Tendida Gomje Kala, Gomje Kalaya. That's a man, Yomi, Shiva, Tela Shiva, stay curious.
So when you are meditating, and if you feel very lazy or fall asleep, that's the mental sinking or laxity.
Okay? And it takes curious.
So that's the fault also. And when you're again meditating, if your mind goes wanders around, and think about all these different things, then that's also that's called mental excitement, and that's also fault.
And take up the Shipachi, yet the long to the Muntangi, tell her she says,
and then there's on a mind on the side, which checks whether these objects are forgotten or not. That's called introspection.
It's the mind police. mind police, but it doesn't guide. Yeah, your question.
Are laxity and excitement antidotes for each other?
Shivalenda Gebalan, Shivalan,
well, we wouldn't call them an antidote, to each other. Although yes, when there's excitement, there's no sinking. When there's laxity, there's no excitement. But they both are false.
Right.
So they are not antidote for each other. But when one comes, the other one will not be there.
So if I'm experiencing laxity, I wouldn't say, "Oh, maybe I should try and excite my mind to get rid of it."
So 중화요가 가서 다마도 고바케고 간선에 가서 고케나 되는 중화요 말았어. 사람들은 그래서 말았어. 중화 가야 되는 고바케 되는 지기로 해서 고바케가 지기로 해서.
고바케 정말 양치 시와도 반도야 답시 있잖아요. 답시 먹고 양주 삼도 대다 양주 땅도 되면요. 주로 반도씩 농가를 지켜오더니 지기로 해서.
Well, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't say, okay, I must get excited, so that I don't fall asleep. Because even if you get excited, then that's still a fault. Therefore, it doesn't really, do any good. Even though it doesn't bring, you to sleep, but it brings you to be all over the place, so therefore it's not really good. And so instead of doing that, do something else. Do something else, to wake you up. Like, sprinkle some water on your face, or think about something else that doesn't make you fall asleep. And so, because if you have the mental excitement, and then your mind is wandering around other places, then it will be difficult to bring it back to the object again.
Maybe sometime try this, when you come inside your house, try to your mind also come to inside house. Keep that, maybe close all the doors. The mind doesn't want to do that, he goes everywhere. One thing maybe just your house. Then you, wherever you are, shining room. Do it slowly, Man, you need to, anyway, try to come very close to
So you have to try to bring your mind, back to the object that you're focusing on.
그래다 가서 샘내 그와도 가르쳐. 샘내 그와 투비 가라 다때 요 말에 쓰는도 다 냠을 줘 봤어요. 와. 세치는 그거는 된치로.
And so this equanimity, is the ninth setting. I said the setting in equipoise, and so that the mind, the setting in equipoise.
그래다 내리 그때 샘내 그와 투비 깝지 다 땅 들어가고 그래. 나도 남기 땅이 사이에 다시 이런 거 있어.
And so this one, is equanimity, of the ninth setting, the ninth setting of the mind.
샘내 그와 투비 어때지? 다 내일 매라야 내제 땅이 나. 시다 땅이 나. 근데 내제 땅이, 소와 땅이, 샘내 땅이 섬지나니 다 내제 땅이 세대 말이죠.
And then there's says in general there are three types of equanimity. There's equanimity of application, equanimity which is feeling, and immeasurable equanimity.
아니, 내는 이제 다 좋아 다니면서 나도 좋아 대도 가양 많이 그지 나도 좋아 정도 왔어.
And so this itself that we just discussed in equanimity, that's the equanimity of application, and then the application, the equanimity of feeling, is like not having any kind of feelings.
What right now? What do you guys feeling? So do what they do.
Do you feel suffering or do you feel happiness?
Happiness.
Maybe you feel a little bit sorry. You know what? How you call
That too.
and the guys, the 좋아 내도 강이 많으나 좋아 따님스러워.
So not having any kind of feeling of happiness or suffering. So that feeling is the equanimity of feeling. Equanimity, which is feeling.
네. 다 재매 다니 되었다 나도 재매시 와다 이제 재매 가와 재매 하는 거고 샴바 재매 따님 재매 와 근데 semje 재매 발라 미베 아니 가로 다 소주 녀월라 잡에 잡아야 마봐 근데 달라다 나와야 마봐 강갈라 다 무슨 집바 지장이네 와 재매 따님 세지.
So and then immeasurable equanimity, there are four immeasurables, right? The immeasurable and law of compassion, and then immeasurable joy and immeasurable equanimity. Right? So immeasurable equanimity here, or in that case also, is talking about having equal, thought towards all beings, not having attachment towards somebody because that person has helped us, and having hatred towards somebody because that person has harmed us. Not having any kind of this kind of feeling towards anybody, but just feeling everybody is same.
단단하다 소질이야. 다 all the time 다 남자여야 돼. 그래서 가와라 밑에는 딱 잡아요. 그래서 와.
And so normally we have attachment towards those we love, right?
아니 소소치 마가서 뜻이나 telata 마가베 젠다 그러. 딱 마가 딱 재미는 말해서 와.
And hatred towards those who we don't like, who has harmed us.
생각도 나게 샘진 탐신 야나 처반이다 저요 땅년하는 걸 지치는 거 그런 문제요.
And so, we always pray, right? May our sentient beings abide in the equanimity, free from bias, attachment, and hatred.
대 빼자 지금 노력하라야 지 소각 경계면 많이 맞지. 서로 때 시선 못 하면 되나요? 고편을 줘요. 그래서.
And so when we're reciting these prayers, if we recite with some kind of feeling in our mind, then that becomes helpful to us.
어디 다 너는 내제 따님서 내가 샘내 동부 가서 문발에 샘 조르다. 아니 시고니지 년보 텔루네 조 문바 네 문발라 네바 컴퓨터 조르다. 대다 시고니지 네 텔루 타팅엔들아 페지다 네루 시고니지 시고지 senje gu ji samsam tanim cheta thuluso shabd shi gupa shanjo langiren bale shibra shavos.
So from among these, this mental factor, which is the equanimity, right, is a compositional equanimity. With regards to this, one should understand the following in details from the stage of path to enlightenment. The system of setting the mind on the object of observation, on the occasion of the first mental abiding, the system of relying upon the antidotes to laxity and excitement, and up to the system of increasing the abiding on the object of observation. At those times, the system of relying on the antidotes to laxity and excitement. Finally, the system of achieving single-pointed abiding in meditative stabilization. The demarcation between whether or not it is necessary to be on the alert for laxity and excitement, the system for attaining equanimity and so forth.
Okay. 단 네 셀레다 단이 저기 셀레로 가려서나 아니 뇽몽비 아니 급 미지피 레전스다 뇽방에도 맞지게 가래 답시 그래서 뇽몽보와도 말로 답시서 가는
The function of equanimity is specified as not allowing an opportunity for afflictions.
아니 다 생리 그와도 바는 대외 뇽몽 엔자나 도퍼 사지 저 녀저 그 뒤치고 문제지 단 내년 너가 뇽몽 엔자와 좀 말이 아니 녀저래 다 녀바 샤브를 가라 아니 시와도 그 용토 말이 했다 이 기준으로 해서.
It says, because upon attaining the ninth mental abiding, the manifest afflictions of the desire realm are easily overcome, and in particular laxity and excitement, excitation do not arise during meditative equipoise.
Okay. 다들 다뉴스타 까마바리 곰선다 라브런 체모다 라브런 넘버나 저 디칼라 아니 양양 놓고 아니 공고레스.
And so this is about equanimity, and also you talked about the calm abiding, right? The 9 settings of the mind, or 9 abidings of the mind, and so that can be also again learn more from the Lamrim text, and like the great exposition of the stages of the path to enlightenment by Lama Tsongkhapa, or also in the liberation of the palm of your hand by Prabhupada Rinpoche.
그냥 먼저 샘제도 저 대화다 내뱉으나 담배치 시간도 나고 요스.
For example, we say, may all sentient beings be happy and abide with happiness.
아니 같이서 그래 샘제도 좀 말아 나지 대화지 누가 먼저 봐야지 대화나 내뱉어야 되는 거. 내우스 상부터 물어봤어.
So that's because just like myself, all sentient beings wants to be happy. So may they be happy and may they possess the cause of happiness.
근데 샘제도 저 동화지도 안 되버지.
What you told yourself.
샘제도 동화지다 잡아지. 가지나 나라 동화 먼저 봐야지. 나라 동화도 잡아가지고 샘제 가가지고 직발해서 상태다 그래서.
And also when we say may all sentient beings be free from the suffering and cause of sufferings, then you have to apply that, think about that upon oneself first, and when you have that done, and then just like myself, all sentient beings are semi wanting happiness and not wanting any suffering, so may they be free from suffering and the causes of sufferings.
근데 샘제 아주 대화다 동화 되는 걸로 깨기도 해.
So are we able to generate that kind of mind, wanting to be free from suffering and wanting to achieve happiness?
소소 대화 동화 뭐 말씀하이나 동화요 뭐 말씀하이나 샘제 때 장도 깨도 말했어.
So if we can't think about that upon ourselves first, then it's not possible to be able to generate that thought towards others.
And semchen the dam namna, rangated and there is some Mulanda, Manina, Genjin, Kala, JSA, showing us on your risk.
So just like Lama Shantideva said in his Guide to the Buddhist Way of Life, sentient beings, if they don't think about that, for themselves, even in the dream, then how will they be able to think about others?
You know, Mandujala Dunga, I have to go walk, I have to pay bills, I have to do things.
So we feel that kind of suffering, right?
Yeah, always. Mandu damage. Morning COVID
So we only that we think of as a suffering, but we don't really think about other sufferings inside the existence, right? Other samsaric sufferings.
대직 수수 셈데 오늘 직 디나가 파 진로도 되네. 오늘 거기서 좀 가려도 상담 그랬어.
So we're thinking about other sufferings in cyclic existence, and sufferings that really binds us in the cyclic existence, and and find out about those sufferings, and then have a strong wish to be free from those.
어디지? 어다 두지 남지 지 가만 되는 거래. 대나라 때도 성능도 서로 초월을 예면 너바이나 서는 저와야 하는 마음으로 그래.
And so when we recite it, it's good to understand about those things, and then recite with some kind of feeling. And if we recite with feeling, then that will help us more to transform our minds.
어디 다들 다들 좋아. 지금 방금도 나버면 제와서 그랬어.
And so now the 11th one is called the non-harmfulness.
And number kidele 나버면 제와 강신나 세담에비 차도가 세담 다 세담 에비 차도인 바지. 이제가 생기에 도면서 빌레제 넣어서 다 세담 많이 빌다 이제가 생다고 말해서
So again, this is regarding the non-harmfulness. The compendium of knowledge says, what is non-harmfulness? It is a mind of compassion, and is involved with the non-hatred. It has the function of not inflicting injury. And so it is a mind of compassion and is involved with non-hatred. So if we have that, then it will not cause any harm to other things, right? So non-harmfulness.
시선받아 끝내 날선바 매바 섬제 동아체나 민네 대당 자나년비 조바고 산데 조바로 있더라지.
And so just as it has been said above, non-harmfulness is a patience. Also, now it says patience of that lacking malice observes suffering sentient beings. May they be free from their suffering.
다들 가지고 온 거잖아. 다 대리 만들어지 자로 오시면도 강이 챙기 레바나 노라싱이 레바나 다 띠가 보고 이래서.
So what kind of object should we meditate this on?
그런 데는 조바들한테 조바데.
So it has to be, it should be meditated on somebody who has caused trouble or harm to us, right? Because it says here patience. Non-harmfulness is a patience.
다 이제 코로나치 다 내차 세다 뜨고 왕거 손에 아니 다 위에서도 마시네 다 이제 가도 다 콘도 사버려 근데 다 다들 콘도도 넣잖아 주마로 있는 다 파야말로 와로라
and so somebody who caused harm to us, we should think of that being as being very like we should have kind of a feeling of pityness towards that person by thinking this person doesn't know what is good and what is bad, and without knowing the reality, and he become angry, or he said these things, or he did these things to me without knowing, who is under the control of ignorance. So poor guy, poor person, who is under the ignorance, under the influence, the ignorance or power of ignorance, did this and that and so forth, and so may he be free from all these sufferings, or from the ignorance and so forth. So thinking like that towards the person who caused harm to us. So that is what it is here, non-harmfulness.
배차샤와이나 나도 강이 제일 뭐 개개 강이 야구부 강이 남블이 강이 간가 아니 나도 명진 담보 진이 뭐래 왔어 명진이 뭐래 왔어.
So on all the troubles that we are facing, right? The personal, the personal troubles or problems, or the family problems, the nation's problems, or the whole world's problem. It comes all from beings, right? From the human beings, right? And so this problem is not really caused, intentionally by anybody, right? But created this problem because of not knowing the reality, right? Even though they intend to do a good, but because of not knowing the reality, and they end up, doing something that causes problem to others and oneself. So right now, like America is facing so much problem because of dealing with Iran and so forth, right? And so when they started, to get involved and go into fight, they didn't think that it will last this long. It will create this kind of big problem.
Yeah? They just said, okay, we just stop here.
So first they thought, we can just go in and stop it and it will be gone, they will all be solved. But they didn't know that they didn't know the reality. They didn't know, and it's going to last this long and it's going to create so much problem. So it all started with the 9/11, right?
다 9/11 담보 진짜마야. 다 대상 관련 요런데 다 대칭이 소속 소리셔다. 대거는 들이 뭐라고 삼요 말 시요 말했어.
So after that, who got involved in that, they worked so hard, they even lost their lives, but they're still, facing more and more problems. So nobody knew that it would happen like that.
So today the not some we can just very focused we think about it. Serious. 강이 차선 미국에서 마시오라 야포 또 야포용으로 삼발을 때니 이게는 심해와 인자 아니 다 거기 두저디 말로 생기.
So anyway, all these problems comes about because of not knowing the reality. So nobody knows what's exactly going to happen. But we think, if I do this, maybe this will solve this problem and that problem. But then it creates more and more problems, and then never-ending problems. So they can't get out of that problem. And so all this happened because of not knowing the reality.
What do you think? You guys agree with this? Okay,
Do you agree with that?
sometimes, some not. Right? 저도 가려야 빼라고 가려였어요. 근데 이게서 그냥 하고인 딱 가려 하고를 했는데 딱 요런데 정말했어요. 이거였어요.
So can you think of any other example?
Hello. 빼라오시고. 일단 걔네도 서로 관계가 된 건데 단팀 성도 어떻게 건데 위에는 다 먹을 때는 다 강인들이 정말 해주고 강에 걔네도 서로 했어.
So all the problems that we face, or we create, is all created because of not knowing the reality. Is that right?
다들 저 여사 말해서 뭐가 빼셔 그래서 다 대말 그거만 내로 말해왔어요.
So do you think that or not? Every problem that Geshe was saying that every problem is created because of not knowing the reality. Do you agree with that or not? If you don't agree, then you should be able to give an example. Say, okay, there's this problem, and which was created, even after knowing the reality. Can you give an example of that? That's what he was asking.
For example, maybe thieves, right?
Thieves.
Stealing.
Thief.
Thieves.
Yeah.
Thieves.
Theft.
I think maybe I want to a little bit Fix my tongue. You got any idea? Maybe a little bit. Maybe my tongue's too thick. The scientist to make a little bit thick. Anyway, thief that. Thief, think about, I go to steal, I got a lot of money, then I do a lot of things. You know, they're very enjoyed it, that, for they think, oh, you know, what do you call it? Still, you know, their banks, everything, then, you know, they doesn't think they're false, you know, oh, please call me, they have to go to jail, maybe they kill me, but they don't think, they don't know. They don't think that things. But they're only looking for the positive,
Positive.
positives. Therefore,
They only see the good things.
good things. They doesn't see the bad things. Then, after they're caught, then they go to jail, they're caught, then you know, a lot of things coming back. They don't want to cut, right? They don't want to go to jail. They don't want to go to jail. They doesn't know after that this happened. Any example, just you can think about it. Not just what Buddhism said as, or Buddha said that we have to believe. We don't want to accept. We just say Buddha said. We can argue with Buddha. Yeah, it's Buddha give us Buddha choice. This is my experience, but you check. Don't go. Oh, go.
Accept.
Don't accept what I'm saying.
Don't accept, what I said out of blind faith.
Buddha said, Seche Davi, Seche, Lepa Dala, Maika, Lamashava, Kishiman, Lisa. And that's the book, I don't know.
So Buddha said, you should examine my teaching, just like a person would examine a gold. So how do you examine a gold? You cut it. If you have a big piece of gold, somebody's Lord, this is a piece of gold. Will you accept that it's a gold? No, right? You see it. How will you see it? You would cut it. It could be just painted outside a gold, but inside maybe no gold. So you cut it, and then see if it's gold or not, and you burn it, and then you rub it, and all these things. So you, just like that, you should examine my teaching, and then accept, not because you have faith in me.
다 들리는 오늘 들리는 간에 다 머리 보나 다 저거는 다 대양 쪼고트라데 나서 나도 머리 받을 텐데 이러고.
And then that also, again, everything, all the problems, fall back to grasping at the true existence of I. Right?
Do you guys agree this? Okay.
You accept that?
If not, give me an example. Yeah, it's true, right? Yeah, any big problem, small problem, maybe we argue with husband or wife, kids. We say, or he or she doesn't listen what I say, what I think. Usually, Buddhism, Buddha's teaching is very,
So the Buddha's teaching goes along with our the day-to-day things.
Not just, it's an empty place, you say, just think about it, not just looking everyday activities. Okay, anyway, today the number of us, Semchela, no se pong, the Javi Suraki, today that Semchela, no se pomati, that Javi Suraki, is.
And so this, so this is abandoning harm to sentient beings, or non-harmfulness, is the essence of the meaning of the concrete scripture.
Now I got a little bit hungry. I'm thinking, I don't have dinner. I was very nervous, I have to say something. Then I have to go on time, nervous. I forgot what the dinner was. Now I got a little bit hungry. Okay. And that was in the Zoba Katuk, Zopa Katuk Tamba Zoba, Yangan Deba, Shoji Sanjisu. That's Zoba, that's the Yaman Chok. Zoba Yapoina, and that's Sanji, Yangan Deba Tobi Sanjisu. Rather, Shuma, Jen, Underwater, Jena, Seva, Geshe Maino. Jen, Seva, never killed the girl, Maria.
And so then it says it is taught in Sutra, it says patience is the supreme austerity. The Buddha said patience is supreme nirvana. And ordained one who harms or injures another is not a training in virtue.
No. Then say Samala, Nela, Legal no Adam, 7 years was.
And so when you injure or harm others, and so you can injure you can harm to their body or you can harm to their mind, right?
So you can finger. I think fingers maybe include the body. Right? And then Matu laziness in that, Matu shooting that, Shubado, Jupata, Legal was.
So like if you use, with your hand, you hold a stick and then you use the stick to hit somebody, that's causing harm with your body, right?
근데 간신내가 간신 먹게 왔지, 나도 먹게 왔지 방이 왔어. 먹게 왔죠. 강라 쉬니 나도 내가 지금 그래서.
And so we cause harm to others by engaging in the 10 non-virtuous actions.
근데 나도 남지 먹게 왔지 it's easy. I never do this. 저기 왔어. 나도 먹게 왔지 샤워 쉬면 좀 삼고 이랬어.
And so most of us, we think that we don't engage in the 10 non-virtuous actions, right?
It's easy that we think. It's not easy. I never kill, I never steal, I never do,
Adultery.
adultery. I didn't lie. I didn't do that, but King of Italy, legitimate was some, Nagam was she, and legitimate was some was.
So there are 3 from the body, 4 from speech, and 3 from mind, right? 10 non-virtuous actions.
또 저런 내용 그랬다. 또 지금이 박사로 나와 있나? 아니 맞아. 내가 그냥 들은 내용이 왔어.
And so we normally say, we don't engage in non-virtuous actions, but we do cause harm to others, right? So if we cause harm to others, then we are engaging in one of these 10 non-virtuous actions.
아니 내가 내줘서 난 내가 전에 개농기 엄마이나 사주 준다から 아니 칠레를 가야. 다 쇼가 나오 칠레로 아니 다 미국도 와다 아니 제가 치도냐고 이래서. 근데 손도 왔어.
And even the conquerors in the teaching in the context of bestowing a water stainer and in the Vinaya procedure, right, is a line distinction of compassion.
It's just story. Yakaya and Yakaya, Zaya Rinpoche. And the Tambo Kalaya, Dawani the Chagalo. Dawachi Shagalaya and it's a Goa Shot and Mucho Mares.
So you understand this part, right? Context of bestowing the water stainer in the Vinaya procedure, right, is a fine distinction of compassion. So that means, like in the Vinaya, it is said that when you fetch water from, nowadays you don't do that, but in ancient times, when you fetch water, either from a well or from the river, the water may come with the bugs or insects and germs, right? And so you have to strain it, and you have to strain it, and then you drink it. So that's the act of compassion. And also there is that's observed even nowadays, like in the monasteries, we call it a summer retreat, where the monks don't walk out of the monastery. They stay in the boundary of the monastery all the time, and especially they don't walk on the grasses because they say there's a lot of insects during that time of the year, like in monsoon time, when the grass grow and then the insects, they all come out and live on the grasses. At that time, the monks are kind of avoided, from walking on the grass, just to prevent from killing the insects.
This is the monk's business. This is not our business. I'm joking. 들리게 가래 다 고자기 받으시 그래서 와. 그냥 담아집에 가야. 내 냠내가 쪼지랬어. 뭔가 시작 남아시스. 다 티셔츠는 나 팔레 시지 못 동안 그래서.
Since one must definitely turn away from harming others as well as their basis, the necessity of equipping oneself with the standard for the sake of abandoning harm to creatures in water has been taught. And on the occasion of giving the instructions, one is cautioned about the necessity to abide in the 4 qualities that make on training in virtue. So this is again, so the ordained, the vows of the ordained person, monk or nun. So even when one derided, do not deride in return.
And then
And so even when someone gets angry at one, do not get angry in return.
and then show
Even when hit, do not hit back.
and then sound that coaching my bitch on
So even when one's faults are exposed, do not expose others' faults.
that 개종도 시비 취재다 내고봐 내가 정말 다 개종소 내고 그래서
It says, therefore, if the intelligent ones analyze and understand this well, they will be able to understand that abandoning harmfulness is the essence of the teachings.
Can you practice do this? Someone said better than you immediately we have to go there, right? What are you talking about? That's not your business. Right? Trojan law. Of course, someone beat you, then you just call 911. This. Of course, we have to call otherwise big changes. Anyway, this is we call to practice patience. Usually, we say something holiness say. If you need to patience is not just whatever somebody do, you have to just
It's taking it.
you're taking it, not miss that, That's what
So, his honor said, practicing patience doesn't mean that when somebody beats you, you just take the beating.
Right. Then, but you can't achieve color, come to Telayachi, Yamalachi, touching of Payoa, and then she mark a legend. Some Lotani, and Kopai, Yanalona, Yanayalo to this. And take up Kuro Sevicala Yanalona, and then do it on the round by Jim and Yachai.
And so his honor said that, at that time, you just stay quiet and then think about something else to distract yourself, instead of getting angry and then responding with anger to that person. But slowly later, then when you have thought, fully, and then with the full thought, and then you go and then return that harm, and then you'll be able to return it really in a good way, not like not like cause kind of in a way to harm the other person, but to teach the person, what you did was not good, and you shouldn't have done that, and these things like so. If you talk, but if you respond at that time when you're angry, then you might be responding in a bad way, and that will cause harm to yourself and to others also.
Right? We both angry, then we both doesn't listen each other, right? I say I'm right, you say you're right, we always this, right? Then that time just try to quiet. Then after that, I know who are your part. Then you look at them, maybe calm down, and maybe a couple of days. Then you can go say, excuse me. Remember, you said this was for me. It's not the right way. Then they think maybe that, oh, I'm sorry, that time I got angry, then I just catch or something.
I just said it.
No. Something will happen, right? Sometimes we get angry, we don't know what we talk about, We say very bad words. Then after we come down, then we a little shy, right? It's, oh, I said these bad things. How can I show my face? Usually the Tibetan way is, we say, oh, I'm not shy. I say very bad things. But anyway, the number of Matsiva said, Kanjeta, in the Zopa,
So anyway, so non-harmfulness is also similar to patience.
Okay. And then I'm telling Shatan, they show my give us that they too much, your mother was not taking my girl among your rest, all much into the total, they love to send a mother should my test and draw. They should my mobile to that, never can lose. And they turn you to my draw is.
So then there's more about the virtues, virtues manufacturers. So this is this all the virtues manufacturers there are, or could there be more than this? This is not only this is the main ones, but the other ones also you can talk about. And so that's what he's talking about the next. We'll talk a little bit about that in the next class, and then we'll go into talking about the 6 root delusions.
Yeah. Then also more easy now. They're not difficult. Okay. Any questions? Yep. Quite a questions. Maybe you guys will get.
If I was actually thinking about this because I couldn't answer it in my mind. If every being in samsara was liberated, was achieved enlightenment, but then there was one remaining, how would that being become Buddha? How would they meditate on bodhicitta?
상대담이 쌓게 와체 하는 지금도 하면은 제가 쌓게 되고 되게 되는 인재가 되고 가는 선점에는 인재가 되는 것도 자주 선발해 본 적이 있어요.
샘지 찾아 사진은 이제 마치게 샘지 찍으려고 말했어.
So there wouldn't be any sentient beings, you know. If all the sentient beings have gained enlightenment, then there won't be one sentient being left behind who does not have compassion. It's not possible.
So it's not possible for there to be one left, one
Yes.
being, like all the
Just
others
one
have
being
achieved-
left, yeah.
So it would have to be like a process where they achieve it at the same time.
That's how many Musangiga was the
연도 사제 말이다. 샹주 샘 마치게 찍으려고 말했어.
Yeah, they don't have to gain enlightenment at the same time, but there wouldn't be one left without bodhicitta. There wouldn't be a sentient being, one sentient being that's left behind without bodhicitta.
But if everybody, like, if they don't achieve it at the same time, so like let's say the others around him have achieved enlightenment, but he has not achieved Buddha yet. Then who is his bodhicitta aimed at?
먼저 산 게네어 산 사마산 게 차오죠. 같이 나와요. 되게 그러니까 되게 그래서 산게 그랬어. 그래서 그래서 공부했어.
이게 샹주 샘 슈치 뭐 검제야. 슈치 뭐 동모였어. 아니 동반이 거. 아니 나 선 제로 제대로. 아니 뒤로 다른 곳이 지금 나도라고 샘지 마지막 라딩이 되요 말.
So if that is the case at that time, then that person who is left behind, who is not enlightened yet, wouldn't be like, you know, ordinary beings with no realization at all. And that would be a being and also was very close to enlightenment. So that would have generated bodhicitta and realization of emptiness already.
아니 샘지 담저 그 산지 통도 샘지처럼 산지 통도로 휴지할 때 나쪽으로 왔어.
Yeah, so you can still have, you know, bodhicitta. You can still meditate on bodhicitta once you have generated it.
So then, and then once that being were to be free, and then there's no beings left in samsara, would the Buddhas still have bodhicitta because there would be nobody they have compassion towards?
You missed the breath.
샘지에 산산 제대로 된다 산지에 샘지했어.
산기주가 저 장주스님 그러면 장주쌤들도 산기 도덕이 쌤들어.
야야 뒤지라야 이제 감 샘바야 샘지 샘바야 뛰어 버려서.
쌤들 탐지 산기 산소. 쌤들 짜하면은
산지에 샘지 상주선 열. 그 라르 캠이야.
쌤들 술라 미베 장스들었어.
다지 샘지 야
쌤들 일단 여mar다.
샘지 야 린다 더가 네 네가 관면이야. 정말 린 샘바 샘지.
말 코스나 링 쌤들 가면 없었어.
샘지 잼면.
쌤들 전에 매우 없었다. 쌤들 산기 사서. 쌤들 탐지 산기 사서 쌤들 링디 말다. 진짜 좋았어.
샘지 찌장가 산지 사와이나. 아니 다 상주선 열.
장주쌤 여러 갔을 때.
열.
그래서 내가 쌤들 술라 때문에 인지 그랬어.
아니 다네 샘지 먹게 돼 샘지를 먹게 이제 말이야. 그만 인제까지 냐면 뭐 공부 안 돼요. 그 얘기라.
인제는 더 쌤지 들어가는 거들 가서 닌데 가서 동화를 다 와셔서 다들 쌤지 공부를.
다 대리게 다 샘지 탐지 동안 장도 쇼니 별로 되나. 대 미가 샘지 야 상제 선바 연자 아니 고로지 처럼 이렇게 말하고. 그거 나대로. 이제 나대로. 이 양을 때문에.
이제 나도 쌤지 여말.
샘지 매웠는데 다 요거 말고 이제 이제도 샘지 따라가니 깨와야자. 대략 공공 배서 와야자. 아니 다다미게 샘지는 뭐 동안 나를 매워는 컴퓨터로.
인지 열었어.
이제 너무 말했어.
So the Geshe is saying the compassion is still there, you know, even though there's no sentient beings, you know, but the compassion that was developed based on sentient beings, you know, before, right, at the time when there were sentient beings, but right now there's no sentient beings, so so you can think that there's no sentient beings, you know, who you can aim, you know, and say, oh, may they be free from the suffering, you know, but that mind, that compassion was generated by depending on that sentient being before, even though they are not there now, but that thought can still be there.
왜 찾아오시나? 먼저 50원 미지오는 뭐도 종소이나? 뭐도 종소나 먼저처럼 뭐도 12 열 되고 말았어.
So, for example, like somebody you know, right? And so somebody you know who has died, but you can still have the mind who knows that person, right? Even the person is not there.
이때 집어라 그러고.
It's still similar to that.
So it'd be like the residue kind of left over from that thought that still remains in their mind.
학제라고 그랬어. 되게 대박 학제.
학제 말하면 저는 무시바 종성하는 티타 더나티 몇 시바들 로셔도 로테들에서.
So the person that you know who died, right? The mind that knows that person, is it a correct mind or is it a faulty mind?
They're mistaken.
Is it mistaken mind?
Yeah.
Huh?
Because you're thinking about somebody that's not, that person is not there anymore.
Yeah. So,
근데 여봐도 올라가게 말았어. 근데 시비가 못.
so the mind that knows the person, not the mind that thinks that it is there. Not the mind that thinks this person is there. Of course, the mind that thinks that person is still there is mistaken mind because the person is no longer there. So you can say that is obviously mistaken.
So the
But the mind who knows that person, even the person is dead, you can still know the person, right? You can still have the mind that knows the person.
Yeah, if you know that it's a past memory.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not mistaken.
다 그런 게 tempad이야 그랬어.
모든 tempada 듣는 간에 대 요가 시바디 요라서.
Yeah, so you have that mind, right?
그래로 대들어 봤어.
So that's a correct mind, right?
뭐디 요 말았어.
But the person is not there.
소를 내요 말았어. 당신이 쟁스 말았어.
So if you had the thought that you want that person to be free of suffering, but they're not there, would that be mistaken or not?
다 semje 된 동al 타워실라는 semje 된다디 동al 타워서서 로드 기어치 이나 semje 된다디 내봐이나 아니 semje 된다디 동al 타워서서 로드 유그레스 semje 된다디 내봐이나
semje 대 토마티야 말았어. 토마티와를 인증이 되고 그랬어. 말았어.
So at the beginning you can't have it. So beginning part you can't have it.
The beginning?
The beginning, you know, so if you're generating that thought for the first time, then you have to have the person, right? But if you have already had that thought before, and now if the person is not there, doesn't matter. You can still have that thought.
But what would be the basis of that thought if it no longer has the object? Like,
다 그런 미유들이 나와있나? 샘들이 된 타다가치랬어.
샘들이 안에 다 야지 다 안에 고매요.
So you can develop that mind.
by depending on what?
가려울 때는
가려울 때인가? 그래도 근데 강사들이라 가세야 수수리가 상주스는 이제 된 거면은 아니 수수리라 내가 다 이런 거 봤어.
알았어?
내가 다 상디.
대화.
대화서 말.
So the more you meditate on compassion towards that person, and then more, I say the happiness you will have, and more closer you will become, towards the Buddhahood.
But don't worry. This is maybe. 딱하래. 나도. 딱만 다주. 로고 남도 마도 센터 테레스.
아?
로고라.
아니.
로고 좀 마음 먹어서 딴 남도 마대로 해서 고 센터 시작했어.
So that is very, very far away, and something that it's almost like virtually impossible to happen, so you don't have to worry about that. So it's like saying the hare, the rabbit, animal hare, thinks, when there's a cloud, when the sky is cloudy, and it thinks the sky is falling down. It worries so much thinking the sky is going to fall down.
But even when all beings have become Buddha, and then, so the Buddhas know, they have compassion, but they have no object of compassion. If all beings are Buddhas, who would they have compassion? Like, they have compassion, but no object of compassion. I was just...
object semcheres.
Semche yamaras어.
누마여서 누마 미사가 semcheres. 당연히 집안 괜찮아 봐. 문무 시바들한테 시바 매로고 말았어.
So there is an object, and the object is the beings, who he generated compassion towards before they all gain enlightenment. And so that's the object. So Geshe said that's the example is the person that you know who have died. It doesn't mean that you have to have the mind that knows the person if the person is dead.
저한테 미리 요구했나? 나도 괜찮아. 무시바도 총선도 뒤에 시바시바에서 저 요구 캐는 게 왔어.
So if you need to have that object, then just like Geshe said, how can you have the mind, which knows the person if the person is already dead? It's no longer there.
되게 많으나 지금 개노 말이죠.
So if you can have that mind, which knows the person when there's no longer the person is there, then you can still have the compassion towards the person, even if the person is not there.
저랑 단단히 시바데 어떻게 이거 말서 저랑 개노도 살아가잖아.
So can you agree with that?
말이 시바 요마 뭐 시바도 좀 혼나 되는 데 시바 요마.
So do you agree that if the person is dead, then you will not have the mind that knows the person?
대가 되는 지금 되게
Knows the person?
Yes.
I could say the mind that remembers the person, but
Yeah.
is it the
So
same
there's
as-
no, so yeah, the mind, yeah. Remember is the knowing, right?
yeah.
So if you know the person, even the person is dead, you can still know the person.
You cannot
Right.
not know.
Huh?
You cannot not know once you know there's something.
Yeah.
Can
So
you
you can know the person, and even the person is dead.
Ray, you give some answer for him. Can you give some answer?
Well, it's a mental object. The object is now mental. It's still an object because it's mental. It exists. If when something dies, when someone dies, although the object is not physically present, it's still a concept, of the person. So
I think he has no problem understanding that, right? He has the problem with the compassion.
Well, that's also not the same person that was before.
Yeah.
But yeah, the compassion. You must have said something that was not helpful.
The 닝제도 매번 닝제도 다 그런 선생님
이제
매번.
요마를 엔탕에 엄청나죠. 이제 사실 이제 요마를.
So what do you think? He's going to ask you now. When everybody is enlightened, do Buddhas have compassion in their mind or not?
That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
How could they still?
What do you think? Just say it.
No, just say what's your idea?
Yes,
It's
this
the same question.
Yeah.
It's compassion. You
Then
remember
towards who? If they have compassion, towards who do they have compassion? Right?
Yeah. Towards other Buddhas?
So what happens if you say no? What is the problem?
Yeah, you said no.
They
What
can't
the
be
problem?
Buddhists.
Huh?
They can't be Buddhists if they don't have compassion.
Yeah, but there's no sentient beings to have compassion towards.
Well,
Yeah. What you say? We say yeah. Yes.
They are Buddha because everybody is Buddha now.
right, everybody's
Done.
Buddha, but they can't be Buddhists without compassion, right?
No, they had a compassion before when there were sentient beings. Now it's not necessary.
Okay. Well, if it's not necessary, then it's not necessary.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
You're
no-
done. You're
no
all
point.
done.
You're
Yeah,
finished.
I was
It's
there.
all done. There's no need
Yeah,
for compassion.
it's over.
it's
No,
all
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't need to have compassion then, You need a compassion before, but
No.
then you don't need it.
Yeah. Sounds good.
And then,
Yeah, when everybody's enlightened, and they say the reason why Buddha has compassion is so that, the importance of having compassion is so that it will make them to work for sentient beings, right?
Right.
It's important in the beginning, and it's important in the middle, and it's important in the end. The importance in the end is because it will make them to work for the sentient beings.
Right.
If they don't have compassion, they will not work for sentient beings, right?
Right.
But now all sentient beings are gone, they're all enlightened,
Yeah.
they don't need compassion,
No,
so
they
what do they
don't.
have compassion for? So I would say they don't have compassion.
No, they don't need compassion.
after that, 이제 요마를. 지금 kelengda.
So do you say that?
We
Did
agree.
you say Buddha don't have compassion at that time?
No, yeah. You guys,
It's hard to say.
No,
I don't know.
no, you can say yes.
Just give the reason.
Yeah, give the reason. You say yes. Then what? Tell kaldu do But yes, gonna kaldu do towers.
So if you say yes, Buddhas don't have compassion, then how would that harm? Would that be wrong?
Anything wrong there?
Would they need compassion at that time?
Need many cases.
No. Do they have compassion or not at that time?
kaldu do no mudes. Rifang do mudes.
Does it harm the logic if you say they don't have compassion?
It does harm the logic because you think they need to have compassion, but there has to be a recipient to the compassion.
That's
so
right.
There's no nobody that needs it, then
So you agree with me, and now you're going to
I did.
say, so you're going to say now there's no compassion in Buddhas when they're all enlightened?
Well, they should have it, but they don't need it. So
Why should they have it?
That's right. If they have it, then they should have. It has to
Because we like the idea.
direct towards somebody, right?
yeah,
Right.
And
Yeah, they need
who
something.
they have towards, you know?
each other.
Who do they have? Each other. They don't need that.
If
There's
there's no object,
Yes.
it can't arise. Compassion can't arise because it has no dependent basis.
That's right.
So there'll be no compassion because there is nothing to base
Yes.
its arising on.
Yes. So there's no compassion, right? No.
Now you guys say no compassion, I give you the very easy.
So Geshe says he's going to prove that there is compassion.
Okay.
Thank you.
다 들리 사제에다 지난이 간이 차버렸어. 삼제 탐주 사제에서 사제도 지난이 간이 차버렸어.
순이.
지난 다 단다가 지난도 삼제 탐주 사제가 저거 사제니 수차버렸어.
So Geshe said, right now you, right, Ray, I said, right now you, and the Buddha of the time when all sentient beings are enlightened. Who is better, you, right now you, or the Buddha of the time when all sentient beings have gained enlightenment?
Well, we'll be
Which one?
equal. It'll all be equal, so.
No. That Buddha and this, this human being, and that Buddha. Who's better?
You're not a Buddha, I guess.
Oh, well.
Of course, Buddha. Right?
Certainly Buddha, yeah.
말로 단다 청아지가 니지 부서진도 사제지가 니지 사제지가 문제가 말로.
So Geshe says you are better because at least you have compassion.
Oh,
And he doesn't have compassion.
I see, okay. Okay, well, this is just kind of a knot. I mean, it's something I think, that's something I wouldn't think about because I think for me it's unknowable. I mean, just like.
So you can say it's not about being better, right? It's about having compassion and not having compassion.
Well, yeah.
No, you have to be careful.
말해 수타 깨져 말해서 그러잖아. 수타 깨져 말했어. 되는 상계 상미 상계 차이즈 그 상계 인제 거야 말했어. 인제 용 말했어. 인제 되는 인제 여보다 야가다 인제 매고 누가 차요 말했어.
근데 수도만 더 했어.
되도
삼제 탐주 사제가 갖고 사제 대단 단다한테 지난이 상 수도만 더 했어.
되도 콜랍스라 되는 되도 상계 더 보고 그랬어. 상계라네.
조금 더 말하면 사제가 니지가 지난테 니지다네요.
Then that would make compassion a permanent object. Yeah.
다가
Do you know what I'm
거기서
saying? Wouldn't that make compassion permanent? Because it's not produced. It's not
can you
So you mean at that time, compassion at that time?
well, right, but then it couldn't be because it has to be generated on dependence of something else.
Memory
You know what I'm
of
saying?
sentient being.
So
되도 때는 닝제는 따가라고 차이로 그랬어. 가서는 닝제 개사지 거라서. 유지 거라서.
니지 따고 니지 말아.
닝제 좀 말았어. 닝제 좀 말았어. 되도 닝제 여봐이나 쓰거든. 되도 닝제 여봐이나 삼주 탐주 산 개월 가서 닝제 여봐는 닝제도 따가라고 그랬어. 가서는 그 개사기 유명했어.
그래.
it would exist from its own side.
되는 그 라마를 두고 그랬어.
그래.
Okay.
오케이. 근데 로 저지체하고 로 자지체하고 버티 따버려서.
Then what about a man who is 80 years old?
따버려서.
Is he a permanent?
제사를 접하면
Permanent?
Permanent? Is he
Is he
permanent?
permanent? No.
제사를 접하면
Because he doesn't have a father to a mother to give birth to him.
오케이.
But you did.
깨워라서 그냥.
들에다 내마 사제가 내마 사제지 니제 대한 선생님이 깨워라.
But the mother.
But then also same with the compassion. Compassion in the Buddha's mind, it wasn't generated at that time, but there was a cause to generate it before, right? When
Yeah.
there was sentient beings. So
Right.
same.
Okay. 다 저도 다 내가 나도 말다 다 당수 차. Now we stop. You have to think about it. Anyway.
You missed the bus?
When Geshe said that, who's better, the Buddha without compassion and the person now who has compassion? Well, you have to think about the end goal. Is the compassion, to develop compassion is not the goal. The compassion is a method. The goal is to achieve enlightenment so that you can help others to achieve enlightenment. So compassion is merely the method that brings you to bring sentient beings to that result. So it would be like saying, who's better, the person who's on the island that they're trying to get to, or the person who's in the boat still in the ocean?
다 권하세요. 다 되게 편한 게다. 닝제 여바디 민닝제 여바다 선제디 다가르게 되네 되도되네. 삼삼상기가 상계에서 몇 가지 상계에서 닝제 매버디 다르스. 권하세요. 다 닝제가 때네때네 그런 상계 사회에서. 닝제의 탑셔스 상계 탑셔스 그 상계에서 다 디사르 닝제 여면 케어 말했어. 아니 다치 말했어. 베란처럼다 닝제를 누가는 닝제가 랩 사회 민다다 랩 가서 링터가 초로 도시인데 아니까 가서 두나니 민인데 집어도 그랬어. 두디 거의 링터 레벨이 되는 가서 탑셔했어. 그 링터 랩 사는 거 두디 거예요 말했어.
그 바다에 드죠. 이제 돈을 받아 가지고 왔어.
네. 근데 다만 개셔도 그 선정이 된 누가 지그러. 선제시를 내가 제주로. 선제가 된 지그러. 선제 된 저죠.
이제 사제 사원은 이제 안에는 먹으면은
선제가 된 지금.
된지도 모르겠어.
이나다 대도 선제가 된 저거야 말인데 얘 가가 찾아래. 오늘이 보겠어.
Okay, good. Now you are winning.
So you win now.
Then you can accept without compassion one Buddha.
Buddha without compassion.
Yeah. 이제는 사실 개です.
So you accept there's a Buddha without compassion?
No, not now.
나야 말했어.
Not
나는 켈링이었어. 다 선제 탐 상계 사서는
개능이면. 그들이 사실 요 개능이면.
So at that time you accept? So that time you accept there's a Buddha with no compassion?
If there were no beings left?
선제자는 맨날 말했어.
그래도 선제자며 용거로 가지 선제가 사제 선제 용어로 왔어.
뒤도되는 상징이 말했어.
그래도 산제 이제 맹 산제다 샤주 세명 산제 주 개능이면.
So you can accept there's a Buddha, I mean, at that time, right? If it's at that time, that is right. If it is there at that time, then there is, right?
It go by that logic, yes.
Yeah, so you can accept that there is a Buddha without compassion, there is a Buddha without bodhicitta, right?
At that time, yeah.
And Geshe said, at that time, so the Buddha of that time is worse than you.
Why would it be worse?
Yeah, you have little compassion, Buddha. That kind of Buddha doesn't have anything.
If everybody in the plague was healed, what need would there be for the medicine?
선제 창마들은 내를 자와이나 맨날 같이 거고 그랬어. Yeah, you don't need the medicine.
Yeah.
직발했어. 선제 탐제 내를 자서는 그래서 맨거야 말았어. 디나시래 선제 탐제 동안 자서는 인저거야 말았어.
이제 고마 요말했어.
근데
다 이제 저라면 산제 주 개능이면.
So you accept the Buddha without compassion, right?
Yeah, if they still have compassion, they haven't done their job because they haven't liberated them yet.
Telling us.
이제 단나처럼 쪼어려서 되니까 산제.
Dares.
So
you accept that Buddha of that time would be worse than you?
Why would it be worse?
Huh?
Why would it be worse?
Because he doesn't have compassion.
The compassion is not the goal. The compassion is just the method along the way.
그 좋아 말해서 가서는 그런데서 닝제 매버려 가지고 닝제도 그런데 미국 말했어.
또봐 저를 봐버렸어.
But he has lesser realization than you.
Yeah, of course, you have little compassion that Buddha doesn't have.
But he's transcended it. He didn't just lose it.
It's okay. No.
그런 닝제 매버 쳐서 말했어. 그런 닝제를 야게 말했어.
이제 가봤어. 이제 같이 냠소래.
What happened to the compassion?
냠소래.
Well, what happens when you transmute it into gold?
다들 배나 자디, 다들 셀을 유도네.
셀
자디 가르쳤어.
짱 뭐지서 말아.
So it turns into gold.
But is it still iron?
It's not iron.
아니 말았어.
Yeah, it's gold, yeah.
So there's no more ire.
No more high.
So the Buddha is trying, there's no more sentient beings left. The Buddhas have achieved their result. So what need would there be for compassion?
선전이야 말해서 그러나 전달도 살았어. 상기가 주는 인지 여기 준센데 선제상 살 거라서. 선제상 살 거 차서는 근데 상계를 때는 인주가 갈 거라서.
Wouldn't that be better than compassion?
다들 인지를 데려 야가 말했어. 상계기 데부디 상계기 고관 토바라. 상계 고관데 인지를 다 말했어.
다 레다야. 이제 냠소한테 데리 두가 됐어.
그 인진 양성스가 막 거기다 셀을 주어놨지. 뒤에 그런 또 상계 살 주상. 공부치 버렸어. 인지 맞아 짜야 말았어. 셀을 주는 짜야 말았어.
산직이 이제 산지래 와도 그게 이렇게 뭐 산직이 이제 산지래. 거기서 개조고 말. 이제 뭐지가 산지래. 산지를 니가 했어.
So Buddha's compassion is a Buddha. So it doesn't have to change. It doesn't transform. It doesn't transcend. You know. It is Buddha itself.
Okay, think about more. Okay, now it's time. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Quick one so we can go eat.
Okay, maybe we can do a short.
Yeah. Okay.
He's hungry.
Fast track.
Fast track to Buddha.
Fast track. Okay, page 39. Sati Bhoti From my two collections, vast space that I have they have become the chief meaning Buddha for all ages, even if I do not reach the state where I develop the loving compassion for my life. May I find the place of complete realization of teachings, may I please those who practice. Using skillful means strong by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from my own beings. With the points of the path as I discern them, may I uphold Buddhist teachings for a very long time. With my heart going out with great compassion, whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet served, whence I